last night here in Catlettsburg, Kentucky. Got my steel order in, like I mentioned in the last video. So tonight I'm going to actually disassemble what I've got together here, take the crossmember back out. I've got some lines already marked on portions of the old frame I'm going to have to cut out where Ford had it rolled down back where the clutch assembly and the cab mounts actually are. So doing a little cutting here this evening. I don't know how long I'll stay out here. It's cold as fuck, so probably just unbolt the crossmember, maybe make some templates. I might do a little grinding and a little cutting tonight and try to get everything formed up and ready for the boxing plates, but we'll see how far I make it. So. Okay, so before I unbolt this lower arm, I'll show you what I'm about to do, or what I'm going to start working on anyways, working towards. So this is the lower mounting plate for the bushing on the lower controller. And as you can see, with a better angle, she doesn't match up very well to the F100 frame. If you see the white line, which I have marked right here, that's a little turn down section of the frame. You can kind of see how it's rolled down. That has to go. That's going to give me a little bit more room to push the mounting plate up. Plus I've actually got to take, which I'll show you in a second, take a plate and put on top of this one so I can bolt this sucker instead of have it welded. That way, you know, down the road when this bushing wears out, I can replace the bushing assembly and not have to cut and weld and all that shit. So I can just unbolt the thing and replace the bushing whenever I have to. Just a hell of a lot easier. So along with that, I'm going to unbolt the crossmember itself and start massaging the metal and squaring it all up. That way I can get a nice joint down through there for my boxing plates. I'm going to do the same on both sides. Something else that I found on this side of the frame, this cab mount, you can also see where I've got it marked. It's hitting too, so I'm going to take a little chunk out of that, and that'll give me all kinds of clearance. But as I was saying earlier, this is actually, get over here in the light, this is actually the old bushing from the stock trailing arm. And these plates, what I'm going to do is use the passenger side on the driver side and vice versa with the passenger side for these old bushings, because these suckers are a mirror image when you flip them upside down for each side. So instead of fabricating an entirely new bracket, I'm just going to reuse this old one. Obviously cut this big ass bushing out of here, and that'll give me a flat plate. Fill that hole in with some scrap metal, and I'll still have to weld a couple gussets once I have this sucker bolted and then welded up to the frame. There'll be a little bit of gusseting work, but it's going to cut a shit ton of fab time out just reusing this sucker. Alright, get back to unbolting, disassembling, and then we'll start cutting and grinding. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Another night here on the little Smoky build. Haven't done really much of anything since the last time I put one of these videos together. For one, it's been way too freaking cold and I don't have any heat out here in this garage. And secondly, I was kind of waiting on parts, waiting on all my stuff on the front end for the Crown Vic, for the little rebuild that I want to do on it, and then waiting for my steel. So tonight what I'm going to do, I've got my template made up for my boxing plates up here on the front end. So I'll sketch those out on my piece of steel and get to cutting with the torch. Weld those suckers in, and let's see what else. I'll go ahead and bolt the Crown Vic front end back up and start putting on all the new parts and reassembling it more or less. And then I've got a little rust up here I might fix. I probably won't make it that far, but that's what we're going to do. So I am going to drink a little bit more of my beer, trace out my patterns, and get to cutting.
larger than life. Send it off, reach for the sky. Make it big, maximum size. Go forth and capitalize. Break through, top of the line. Expand all of the time. Get huge, mother load mine. Rise up the rapid incline. Blow it up, larger than life. summertime. Pump it up, push it out, scream and shout. That's what I'm talking about. Bubble up, shoot to the top. Why wait? Don't ever stop. Get tight, light up the night. Blast off, clear out of sight. Keep on keeping it hot. Take aim with your best shot. Live large, crash in the gate. Propel with enormous rates. Bubble up, shoot to the top. Take aim with your best shot. Pump it up, push it out. Scream and shout. That's what I'm talking about. Send it off, reach to the sky. Make it big, maximum size.
Well, close but no cigar. I got the top of that one welded in. I'll grind all those welds down and make it look like it's one piece. That one I got a little bit of the front tacked, and I got maybe a bead or two on the rear. And my welder just shit itself again. It starts just spitting and spattering, and it can't even burn the wire. So it's old. I put the damn thing through its paces, so it's time for a new welder. But there's a boxing plate, and you might be wondering why the little cups are cut into it. Why didn't I just, do square plate or square the edges off like right in here? That's a fish mouth, or well, that's what I usually call it, as a fish mouth method. But what that's going to do is allow the frame to still flex. If I would have just squared it off, you reduce the amount of flex that that's in the frame, basically. And you might be thinking, well, why is that a bad thing? Whenever you reduce the amount of flex, that can lead to stress cracks, and you do not want stress cracks on a frame. Let me tell you that right now. So that's the idea, I guess, behind these fish mouths on both of the boxing plates. But it'll be a little bit here before I can get a new welder and finish welding these suckers out. What I'm going to do now, while I'm out here and got the torch gassed up, I'm going to cut out square plates for right here. So I'll be basically going from right here over to here, right between where I've got my nuts. But you're not going to be able to tell on the camera, but this is where the shock towers, that's what all these bolts are for, but these are where the shock towers were mounted. And over time, water and dirt and all kinds of shit builds up behind those shock towers, between the tower and the frame, and you get some serious corrosion back there. So the metal's not super thin, but it's definitely thinned down to what the original frame thickness was. So what I'm going to do, just a simple layer, I'm going to cut out 2 square plates out of my 3/16" steel on both sides of the frame, same place. Weld those puppies right on, and that will get me my strength back. This one is warped all to hell from where it was all rusted out, so I might have to do a little bit of grinding to get that thing to sit down there flush, but no worries. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a template for these and cut them out, and they'll be ready to weld.